built his first $1 million business by 25, sold 4 companies by 32, and co founded South Africa's most well known events business, serving more than 40,000 people every year. Today, he's here to share how to build an ethical and profitable business. Please welcome Gaz Ezra. Gaz,
Thank you
welcome.
very much. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, it's Gal Ezra, Gal. It's a unique name. It actually
Mm,
means wave, like in the ocean. Gal.
wow.
It's a strange one. Yeah.
Wow. And
Yeah.
where's the name got its origins in?
It's Hebrew. The name is in Hebrew. So in Hebrew,
Hebrew.
most names in Hebrew, people that speak Hebrew or that are Israeli that have a name, usually it has a meaning. So that's
Mm,
my name means wave, like in the ocean. Yeah.
wave.
Yeah.
My wife's Chinese name
Hmm.
is Hai Wen, and Hai Wen means ocean rain.
Oh, beautiful. Wow,
Yeah,
that's beautiful.
where
Yeah.
where these where when she first met me, she said, "Your name's boring," and I said, "What do you mean?" She says, "There's Daniels everywhere," and I said, "So is
Yeah,
Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, Peter, Paul, and all the apostles."
yeah, exactly. True. Thank you for having me on.
My pleasure, mate. In Taiwan, when we choose a name, we will always go to the local master. And the master will have a look at the birth charts, look at the time of birth, the place of birth, and then also offer a series of different names based on the constellations, based on the stars, and based on any potential blockages based on the spirit world. So
Mm,
a lot of thought is put into names. So
yeah.
when they did my name, from English Daniel Tolson to Chinese, they come up with Daniel, and that's three names, Dan Ni Er. And I said, "Wow, what a nice name! What does it mean?" And they said it means Daniel. I said,
Really?
"You went to all of that effort to give me the exact same name?"
No way. That's hilarious. Really? Is that really what happened? That's
That's
hilarious.
that's it. And so
Wow.
if your Chinese is
Yeah.
not very good, like mine,
Hmm.
um, Dan also means egg. So
Mm,
I just say, just call me Egg. That's
okay.
easy. White on
Yeah.
the
Well,
outside, yellow on the inside.
yeah, exactly. That's perfect. That's very fitting. Love it.
How did your parents choose your name? What's the story behind it?
It was, I don't think it was anything too much beyond, having many names at the time and they couldn't decide and so forth. And actually, my aunt was the one that put forward my name. And for whatever reason, they said, yeah, that's the name. We really relate to it. And my aunt really loved it and my parents loved it. And I think that that's just how it came about. Yeah.
I was supposed to be
Not as much
Gabrielle.
of a deep, yeah. Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. Nice.
I
Very
was going to be
nice.
a girl, supposedly. But then
Oh,
my dad said
really?
it's going to be a boy. We better get a boy's name.
Well, there you go. He knew.
He did know. He did know.
Yeah.
Well, you've had a lot of business success, past, present, and future, and I've watched your videos on your website on YouTube, and a wonderful presenter and a wonderful story.
Thank you.
There's people out there today, they have succeeded in corporate, they've done very well as employees, and now they want to change direction and they want to start their own business.
Hmm.
Um, my question is, before anybody starts a business, I think they've got to figure out what's a good business model and what's a bad one. What would someone have to do to build an unethical and an unprofitable business in today's world?
Unethical and unprofitable is achieved by cheating. If you cheat, then you will be unethical and unprofitable. And you think, yeah, but a lot of people you see that are the criminals or that make shortcuts, they seem to achieve profit. What you're seeing is a tiny sliver of their chapter. You're seeing 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. But if you look at anyone who did it unethically, the story ends just as sure as the sun sets in misery. It will end terribly in jail, uh, physically dead, uh, hiding, and really you won't feel that you have the money. You'll destroy everything around you, and maybe you'll have the money, but you don't actually have the money. So, doing it uh, through shortcuts or by any way that is not offering huge value will lead to an unethical and, of course, unprofitable business.
Mm. When I was growing up, our family had a pawnbroking business. I know
Oh,
you're in
wow. Yeah.
finance, and we were money lenders, and
Hmm.
we were the local pawn stars. And the
Yeah.
boys like to hear that one; they love that one.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
we had a competitor, and he came into our marketplace, and as you do, you don't always keep all your market share. And he came in and he started a shop. And the first thing that we noticed was that he would offer more money on all the
Hmm.
products that people wanted to sell or wanted to borrow money on. So we knew that he wanted to capture the market.
Yeah.
But he also did some bizarre things where he would be open at 2 o'clock in the morning. He would be
Mm.
open at midnight. Now, you're
Hmm.
operating a pawnbroking business, and the type of customers who are coming to your business at 12 o'clock at night and 3 o'clock in the morning aren't savvy people. They're not the
Yeah.
nicest of people.
Yeah.
And
And they
so he'd
want
be
the money
doing,
usually for bad, for the wrong reasons, let's just say.
yeah, and for
Yeah.
the stuff that doesn't belong to them as well.
Hmm.
And so he would be doing all these bizarre things, and he would get all these customer complaints. And the customer complaints would sweep around the town, and then eventually they got to one of the big TV stations in Sydney called a Current Affairs. And a Current Affairs got so many bad reviews on him that they come and did a story on him. And one of the
Mm.
first things that he didn't want was he didn't want women with children in his shop.
Hmm.
So they had undercover cameras showing him yelling at women with children in the pram and hustling them out.
Wow.
So he was featured on there, and he thought it was absolutely hilarious. So out the front of his shop on a big cardboard box after he's been exposed on television, he wrote Sydney's worst shopkeeper
Uh-huh.
with an arrow inside of his business.
Uh-huh.
And
Wow.
he was beaten up many times by people who were bad people, and he did a lot of bad things. And he was unethical and
Hmm.
unprofitable.
Yeah, exactly. And the story uh, for sure ended badly. And while he was in operation, I'm sure that he, and I don't know him, of course, but I'm sure that he was scared, not sleeping well at night, uh, unhappy with his results, and he didn't do it right. So it's never the right way. What the way to do it ethically is to basically offer value, but more importantly, make sure that you get the exchange for the value. Make sure that you get the value back. Now, it's never enough to just offer value because everybody says, oh, yeah, so I just give what they pay for. So, value, value. That will actually also destroy your business. If you give exactly what's fair to the other person, as the buyer and the seller, by the way, you're unethical.
Mm.
If you give what's fair as the buyer and the seller, you're unethical. And people think, what do you mean? That's how things go. I go, I pay, I give. This is the fair thing. It's unethical. Why? Because there's four levels of exchange, right? Exchange means I give and I receive, right? Or you take and you pay, or whatever the case may be. So there's an exchange. There's four levels. The first level, which is the lowest level, is basically this: I pay you for, I go into your store, I give you $5 for a chocolate, and you take the $5 and you run. So you stole from me. Okay, that's a criminal exchange. There was an exchange, but I didn't get anything back. So that's a criminal exchange. Now people think, okay, fine, that's obvious with a criminal, but you'll see that you have friends that you give them and you give them and you give them and they give you nothing back. Those friends end up hating you.
Mm.
The friends that hate you the most today that used to be your closest friends, you gave them and gave them and gave them and gave them, and one day they turned on you because you made them into a criminal. You gave them and gave them with no exchange. The next level above that is I go into your store, I give you $5 for your for the chocolate. You give me the chocolate, but it's ripped open and there's a little bite taken out of it. So I got something. I got a chocolate, but it's not what I expected. It's partial exchange. So you go to a restaurant and you order a steak, medium rare, and you get a steak, well done, cold. But you got a steak, but it's not what you actually paid for. So it's less than, it's partial. And there's many businesses that give services, but it's not what the customer expected. It's partial, it's a little less. Of course, that's not going to be sustainable. The level above that is I go to the store, I give you $5, you give me the chocolate, and I leave. Thank you. Fair exchange. I go to this restaurant, I order a steak medium rare, I get the steak medium rare, hot. Perfect. What I ordered. All three of these, obviously criminal, obviously partial, and obvious and not so obviously, but also fair, all those will actually lead to your demise, including fair. Why? And we'll talk about the fourth level. Why is because when you have fair, fair means the same. The same is equilibrium. There's no such thing as equilibrium in this universe. It's either going a bit up or a bit down. The same means down. For example, your microphone will be a little bit worse tomorrow than it is today. You think, no, it's the same as, no, it's not the same. It gets a little bit worse and a little bit worse and a little bit worse, and one day it breaks. Unless you clean it, you do something to make it go up a little bit. Your body tomorrow is going to be a little bit worse or a little bit better. Everything is either a little bit worse or a little bit better. But if nothing gets done to make it better, it goes down. So people say, yeah, but I earn the same money year on year. It's the same. No, you don't. If you earn the same money year on year, there's inflation, there's cost of living. You're not earning the same.
Mm.
So the next level above is the fourth level of exchange. And the fourth level of exchange is called exchange in abundance or exchange with a wow. Now, I go to the store, I give you $5 for the chocolate. You give me the chocolate as I wanted, but you notice that I'm with my puppy and you give the puppy a treat on the house. And I go, oh, that's nice. I go to the restaurant and I order the steak. I get the steak and I get it. I ask for it medium rare. I get it medium rare and I get it hot. But the chef comes out and says, "Hey guys, we are making some things in the back. I'd love for you to try them on the house. Here's like some tasters." And everyone, wow, that's so nice. And something. Now it doesn't have to be expensive. It actually shouldn't be. It doesn't need to be buy one, get one. It's not something over the top. It's something unexpected. If they expected that they'll get a treat every time they buy a chocolate, it's not exchange in abundance. It becomes fair exchange because it's what you expected. But if you can always give something more than expected, if you're a friend, at any time you're with your friends, you leave them going, wow, that was, I don't know, I just leave happier. Or I leave with more than I expected with every interaction with Daniel. It's always something unexpected. He gives me an idea or a tip or a lesson or something that I didn't know he would more than expected. That's the only way for expansion. That takes it from an equilibrium to a slight up, slight up. Now, somebody who's logical, who is sane, that experiences something more than they expected, if you're sane, your impulse is I want to give them back now. Like I got something amazing at this restaurant. They came out and gave me all these things for free. I'm gonna leave them a good review, or I'm gonna bring I'm gonna bring more people, or I'm gonna leave a big tip. I'm gonna give more than they expected. And now there's an upward expansion. Now there's prosperity being generated, and people don't realize that that is first and foremost. Figure out how can you give exchange with a wow, and anything less than that is unethical and unprofitable. So that's the full answer, although a condensed answer on a huge subject, but that's the answer.
And I think those people who get to that fourth level of service in their business, we automatically want to go back.
Exactly.
You've done something nice for me. I want to do something nice for you. I want to introduce you to my friends. I want to take a photo of your meal. I want to put it up on my social media account and put it in front
Ex-
of my 5,000 people.
exactly. That's expansion.
When it is,
Yeah.
when Ninny and I were working with Emirates Airline, the theme for the cabin crew was to make somebody's day. And it wasn't just
Exactly.
the thing that every other airline could do. We had to
Mm-hmm.
be aware, we had to be looking out for it. And
Yeah.
we learned for our business class customers, what was really important for them, they just wanted us to recognize them by first name. Gal,
Mm-hmm.
welcome back to Emirates. Oh, somebody
Yeah.
recognized me. And that was so
Uh-huh.
important. And then
Yeah.
if they said, call me Gal, call me Daniel, and we did that, that was so important to them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There
Yeah.
was another thing that we did really well with Emirates Airline, and the customers loved it, was onboarding. We would give the kids a toy bag,
Exactly. There you
totally
go.
unexpected,
Yeah.
asking nothing in return. And then we would give them a opportunity to have a Polaroid photo with either one of the girls' Reds hats or the
Mm-hmm.
captain's hat.
Mm-hmm.
And
Exactly.
it was so special for them.
Yeah.
And that was a huge win. And we used to get cabin crew in our teams fighting to do that because for them,
Ah.
it was feel good.
Yeah.
It set the tone
Very.
for them, it set the tone for the entire flight.
Exactly. Emirates is very good at that, by the way. And
Mm.
that's an exact thing. It's like more than expected and it costs nothing. This is the main thing with exchange and abundance. People think, oh, but I'm already barely scraping. But how can, no, it costs nothing. You need to find something that you can do that's wow, unexpected. I'll give you an example. At my festivals, we used to, at the beginning in the early days when people weren't didn't expect this at the beginning. We were doing these events called We Love Summer. Okay, so it was summertime festivals, music festivals, beautiful green lawns, place to swim, big stage, the whole thing, right? But what we started to do as a small thing, but it was like, as you say, a picture moment and so forth, is we would put the Hawaiian necklaces on and anyone arriving at the beginning. We would hand out ice cream, just free ice cream to people. And that's so at the festival, they're not expecting that. That's not, but those small things was, oh wow, these guys are different. They care. They're doing something that I didn't expect. If you become a radar for that, I'm talking to the listeners really. If you become a radar for how can you give exchange with a wow in anything you do, it is the most magical, easy, actionable formula to actually go up. And that's one takeaway for sure that anybody can start practicing today.
My brother and I, we started a clothing company, and it was one of
Hmm.
Australia's most popular wakeboarding brands. And what people wanted more than anything else was a sticker. And
Yeah.
we would have small stickers, we would have big stickers. And some of these big stickers were the size of somebody's car, like literally from front to back. That's how big the stickers were. And they would
Yeah.
sell for about $150 back in 2000. And
Well,
I'd say to my brother, I said, let's not charge them for the big ones. Let's give them away. And we would give
uh-huh.
away these 2.5 meter stickers and they would plaster it down the side of their car. And I said to my brother, I said, this is the best advertising ever. They're
Yeah.
driving around their car. It's their car's going past 40,000 other cars every day in Sydney. And it's a moving billboard. And it cost us a
Yeah.
little bit of vinyl and a little bit of labor and a little bit of love. And that was it.
Right.
And they would get so much joy from that because they were
Hmm.
given a sticker. They weren't charged, but there was also no expectation of a return.
Yeah.
And I think with
Hmm.
what you're saying here is if we do it with the right heart set and we expect nothing in return, that's when the biggest ROI comes. Got to do it from the good of your heart.
Yeah.
Do it from your
You have to.
soul. Have a great
Yeah.
experience.
For sure. I will make a tiny adjustment and on to what you're saying in my viewpoint. And it's not to say that my way is right, but I'll tell you how I look at it. So people have this idea that help is for no return. Okay. It's actually not true. It's not true. People think, what do you mean? and I'll tell you, help must be for a return. It must be. Otherwise, what happens is you violate the principles of exchange. If there's no return, you make them into a criminal. You give them for no return. No, I want a return for my help. It doesn't need to be like for like, but I want a return. So, for example, yes, you put the stickers up and you didn't expect something in return, but there you did. They're driving around the car. That was the return. That you didn't expect them to pay you. You didn't expect them to come and give you a marketing report of where they drove.
Give
And
me your KPIs.
yeah, exactly. None of that. There was none of that. But the reason you gave it, and it's totally fine, is because the return was just enjoy the sticker, but also you driving around helps us. So thank you. That's the return.
And
So yeah,
the joy is also in giving. And I've
also,
got a
yeah, for sure.
really good friend in the United Kingdom, very successful in selling. And he kept wanting to give me a gift, but I kept saying, no, no, no. And he said, you got to stop saying no. And I said, why? He said, because you're robbing me of joy. He said, because
Hmm.
there's so much joy in giving. He said, you've
Yeah,
given so much. I want to give something in return.
that's
And
right.
there's so much joy in that.
Yeah,
Here in Taiwan
because you're.
with
Go. Sorry. Go ahead, please. Yeah.
here in Taiwan, when we go and see the psychics, when we go and see the spirit man, there's always got to be an exchange. Because
Hmm.
if they're removing bad energy away from you, or if they're looking at your birth charts, there's got to be a form of compensation.
Hmm.
And as long as we're getting benefit and they're getting benefit, everybody can keep moving forward.
Hmm.
Got
Exactly.
to keep moving forward.
Yeah.
You've seen obviously a lot in your time in business, and we just spoke about how to build an unethical and an unprofitable business.
Hmm.
If we want to build an ethical business, what should we think about in the foundational process? What are the foundations of the business? What do they need to be so the business remains ethical? Because
Yeah.
ethics is not just something that we slap over the door at the end. Okay, I've built the business, I've branded the business, and we say now we're ethical. That came last.
Yes.
How do you get ethics into the foundations?
Yeah. You make sure that you are providing value and you're getting value back, but you need to constantly check that the value that you think you are providing is actually as valuable as you think it is to the person that you're providing it to. So you need to always check, and you do that through surveying. And there's a whole methodology for how to survey. A lot of surveys I see are really nonsense. There's a way to really check. And what you're checking for is how is my delivery? How is my service quality? How is the product? What value did you get? What would you like to have better? Correcting. So providing and correcting, providing and correcting, providing and correcting, so that the value that you give is really valuable. And what
Mhm,
that does in parallel, yes, the client, uh, is more and more and more and more satisfied and gets more and more value, which by the way is very important because sometimes business owners think that they're doing a great job, but the client feels that things are missing or things could be better or whatever else. And business never hears about it. They need to check. They must check because that way they're making sure that it's actually an ethical transaction
mhm,
because you got paid. So you want to give more than expected. So on the one hand, there's that. But the incidental bonus is that you become more and more aware of the value that you give the client. You become uh, assured of your own value that you're providing. Many people that have imposter syndrome, what that is basically, I don't know if I'm really giving as much value as I claim. That's basically what they're saying. I don't feel I belong here because I don't know if I'm really giving value. They're paying me for what? But when you check and you check and you check and you make sure, you see that it's valuable. And what will happen over time is you providing your service becomes simple for you. For you, it's easy. It's like the more you do it, the easier it is. So you think it's nothing for me. And so you start thinking, maybe I shouldn't charge as much, maybe it's not as valuable, oh, they could have done it themselves or whatever. And it's not true. And then you don't charge enough and you don't ensure that you exchange enough. And you actually unknowingly are shrinking without realizing it. I worked with a videographer and he was charging nothing, like peanuts. And he's like, but all I do is I set up the settings and I go and I hold the camera and I video and I go back home and like editing this stuff is easy for me and I like it. I just like have a coffee and I set up my like candles and I just like edit at night and it's nothing for me. Like I feel bad charging.
I need him to set up the candles for when I go to bed with my wife. He's romantic.
Yeah. Yeah. But it was fascinating because for him it became easy, but he didn't
Mm.
realize how much value he's giving them, how much he helps them. What they can't do it on their own. He has so many uh, artistic viewpoints and techniques and ways that he shows the products and services that he was filming, and he was doing it so well. But to him, it was nothing. So he started feeling like, I don't know, I don't know if I'm offering value. So you must constantly ensure that you know your value, ensure that the customer gets value, and check it and correct it.
Mm. The value that we think we give in our head is very different to how the customer perceives value in their head.
Hmm.
And we've got to get out of our silos. And one conversation I was having this morning was talking about management by walking around. We've also got to be able to have that opportunity to walk around in our business and get a bit of a fingertip feel for our customers' perception. And not just from inside of our business, but inside of theirs. And many,
Hmm.
many years ago, 2004, 2005, 2006, I'd drive around Australia and I would visit our clients, and we had our clothing in 54 shops across the country.
Wow.
And doing the sales process, what was really interesting was we would do the designing of the summer clothing in winter,
Hmm.
which kind of doesn't make sense. You're thinking about summer, you're not really there. You're in winter, and
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
designing these clothes, and you're trying to predict the future, and you're
Yeah.
doing it behind your computer. You're doing it in your office. Then you're
Hmm.
manufacturing, and then you're bringing in samples. So I'd take these samples out on the road, and you'd go into Sydney, and people would buy everything that you had. They'd buy a pink shirt, they'd
Hmm.
buy a blue shirt, they'd buy a yellow shirt, they'd buy a green, a black, and a white. And you think to yourself, everybody wants all these colours.
Yeah.
Then you travel a little bit further north and you go to Queensland and you get up there and they say, we don't want pink, we don't want yellow, we don't want blue, we don't want green, we don't want white, we want black. And then you
Hmm.
quickly realize that what they want is different to what you want to give them.
Totally.
And we made many mistakes early on thinking that we knew best,
Hmm.
but the customer knows best. They know
Yeah.
what they want. And if you're
Yeah.
willing to be open to that feedback, and as you're saying here, is just course correct and to adjust
Yeah.
and give them what they want, give them what they need, then they're going to be happy. That's more valuable.
Yeah.
As manufacturers of clothing, our job was to make their business profitable. And if they were
Right.
profitable, we were profitable.
Yeah.
And that's how it
Yeah.
worked. And if we didn't have good product, it didn't work for anybody. At the end of the season, they
Ex-
send you shiploads of clothing back. But that's
yeah.
not the goal of it.
It's so simple, and people don't do it. People don't check and ask. I mean, I'll give you an example. We're working on a hotel. We have a boutique hotel, and we have this new concept for one of the rooms. Okay, that's some kind of idea that we have to do inside of the rooms. We need to check. For me, it's a brilliant idea. Brilliant. We need to check with all our existing guests. Would you want this type of room? Now, people don't check. They think this is a great idea. Let's do it. Check. It applies
It's
for
a good idea
marketing.
because I came up with it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I came up
That's
with
how
it. Isn't
vain
it
we are.
brilliant? Yeah. One of the best things a business owner can do is if the marketing person comes and says, how do you like this new design? What do you think? You can say, what I think is that you're fired because it's not my opinion that matters. Ask the target market what they think. That's who you need to check if they like this design or not. I don't go check. There's a way to check it. Check with your marketing. Are you promoting what's needed? Are you using words? There's something called a button. It's the word that catches you, that makes you look, that makes you. Are you putting out a button that is actually a button for our target market?
Mm.
We were working with a fertilizer company, and it's a gardening company, and they had this fertilizer, and they were promoting that they needed. They were promoting that they have the most effective fertilizer for a beautiful garden, because they thought that people want beautiful gardens, and they were promoting the aesthetics of the garden. Upon surveying, what it turned out was that people didn't care about a beautiful garden. They wanted no bugs, and they wanted to kill them, and they were angry about it. So the marketing became not, do you want a beautiful garden? We have an effective fertilizer. It became, we kill the freaking bugs. We have the most effective fertilizer. That was done by survey, and the results were incredible. I mean, the stats exploded, etc. Needless to say, that's the point. Not what I think, what do they think? And it's true for every part of the business and life. You can ask your wife, what is important for you? What do you feel I could do better? How can I improve? What is needed? All these are things that we don't ask, we just think we know in
Mm.
general. So it's very, very, very effective.
All these mind reads we make.
Yeah.
One thing on the airlines that I noticed was people traveling in the premium cabins, whether it was first or business class, were some of the people who wanted the least amount of service possible.
Hmm.
And most
Interesting.
people want to
Yeah.
fantasize, I want to get upgraded to business class. I want to turn left. I want to go to first class. And I'm going to drink all the Dom Perignon and
Yeah.
eat all the caviar. That's the economy person's version inside of their mind. But
Hmm.
business class and first class people, they're in there all the time. And
Yeah.
most of the time, they just don't want to be disturbed. And so they
Right.
started to survey the customers and they said, what do you want? They said, we don't want to be disturbed. We want to get
Yeah.
in, we want to sit down and don't speak to us the whole flight. And so that's
Yeah.
how they come up with those little stickers that say, do not disturb. And I
Yeah.
was on a flight
Absolutely.
to Korea last week, hopped in business class with my wife and my son Caesar. And then the crew doing their lovely job, their service sequence, they come up and spoke to me nonstop. And I'm like, I don't want to be spoken to. I don't
Yeah.
even want to be seen in here. I just want to put my hat down
Uh-huh.
and I want to hide in business class in the corner and I don't want to be disturbed.
Yeah.
But I couldn't find
Right.
the sticker. But they were
Yeah.
doing a lovely job, but it wasn't what I wanted.
Exactly.
Ha-
And
And
so,
everybody spends their money differently. Some people who
mhm,
go in business class, they might have saved for a decade to do it, and they want to have the full experience. Well, if that's what you
yeah.
want, go for it. But for me, I used to work on the airline, and I feel guilty for pressing the call button. And if I need anything, I'll go to the galley myself because I've done their job. I just want to,
Yes.
I want to hide.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah,
No
and
frills.
that's so fascinating, because every listener, I'm sure, has ideas of what the client needs or wants that
Mm,
it's not really true.
mm,
And what you find out by asking, yes, on the one hand, as I said, you'll improve the value that you offer, because if you find out that people don't want to be disturbed, then you won't do it. So you'll improve the experience, and it helps even with marketing. That's
mm.
why Emirates doesn't say endless caviar and Dom Perignon, book first class. No. But if they find out that what they want is do not disturb and privacy, do not disturb, privacy, book first class Emirates. If
And I
that's
want to have a
really the number
shower
one thing,
before I get
and
off this stinky aircraft.
yeah, exactly. And you'll find that that thing that you promote will improve your value offering and your marketing. Yeah.
Even today's technology, I bought a new phone recently.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about the camera. I don't care about the size of the megabytes. I don't care about the screens. I just want to flick it open. I just want to open it and I
Ah,
want to close it. I want to open
yeah.
it and I want to close it. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And that's all I
Exactly.
wanted. And because I got that and the guy understood me, he's like, hey, you can just flip this open and close. That's all he said. I said, that's all I
Mm-hmm.
need. Give that to me.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't
That's right.
mention about the Wi-Fi, didn't mention about the 5G. I didn't even
Yeah.
realize it had two SIM cards until I went to Korea,
Uh-huh.
but I wanted one thing.
Exactly.
I
And
just
that's
want to flip it
sales.
open and close.
That's the key in sales, by the way. Now, if we're talking about being a salesperson, find out what is important to you. Because if he started talking to you about the 5G and the whatever else, no sale. But if he found out what you care about is the flip, let me show you. Here we go. Now there's a sale. Another important lesson, because people in the sales cycle think and assume what the client wants or what they're looking for, what they're in here for. Why are they buying a new car or a new home or a new dress? But if you find out what they really are there for, what do they really need? I just want something that flips. Oh, let me give it to you. Now we have a sale. I don't harp to you about other things that you don't care about.
In your part of the world at the moment, how do most people feel about selling? You know, they've been on the other side and they've been sold to, but now they want to build a business. How do they really feel about selling?
Most people have a bad connotation when it comes to sales, okay? Because salespeople have gotten a bad rap because they don't actually know what is a salesperson. So I'll ask the audience just for a second before I give it to you, but how would you define a salesperson? What is a salesperson? How do you define the word? And if you don't know it, you'll be a manipulator and you'll do a million other things. But a salesperson is actually a person that helps the prospect to help themselves with your product or service. Salesperson helps the prospect to help themselves with your product or service. If I know that what I'm offering you will help you, I will help you to get the help. A salesperson is a help person. I don't call my salespeople. I call them help people. And when there's not enough sales, we don't look at we need to sell more. How can we help more? How can we
Mm,
help more? If you help, the sales will come. So if you go and you sell ice to the Eskimo, you're not a salesperson because the Eskimo doesn't need the ice. You're a cheater. You're a manipulator. He didn't need it. And so then salespeople get a bad rap. But care, if you care, people say ABC, always be closing. It's actually always be caring. If you care, then sales is a beautiful thing. And it's actually you. Because right, what happens is this, it's you have your prospect, and it's usually the prospect against the salesperson. What needs to happen is it needs to be the salesperson and the prospect against their problem. The prospect has some problem. They need a new car, a new home, looking for a dress, whatever. They have something they're trying to resolve. I need a phone that flips. At the beginning, it's like this. You need to be caring enough to see how can you and I together tackle this problem that you have.
mm,
That's the viewpoint of sales. That's how it should be. Anything else, any NLP manipulation, any nonsense, no, none of that. Care, basics. Yes, I can teach you the sales process and so forth, but you don't need anything other than bread and butter, care. Help the prospect.
I think we've all had a good sales experience, and we've all definitely had bad sales experiences. And when we reflect on them, and when I reflect on it, I look at the people who I've bought from, who have helped me buy something, as people who've really cared about what I want.
Hmm.
And I can see that they care because they're curious. They want to ask a
Hmm.
lot of questions.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Hmm.
Daniel, what brought you in today? You know, why today? Why didn't you come in yesterday? Because
Yeah.
yesterday you could have got it for 50% cheaper, but you're coming in today. Why today? I didn't have the
Yeah.
problem yesterday. I got it today. Okay. What's the
Yeah.
problem? And they even kind of help. I've even had some people talk me out of buying stuff because they've said,
Hmm.
is it really a problem?
Yeah.
Is it a need
100%.
or is it just a want? Oh,
Yeah.
it's probably just a want. It's a
Yeah.
fantasy.
Yeah.
But
It
those
will be
people you have a lot of
correct. Yeah.
trust. You trust them. Okay, well, I might not buy today, but I'm going to find a way to come back and buy something,
Hmm.
even if I don't need it. I want to buy it because you were so nice to me.
Yeah, most
You gave me
that's
so much
such
help.
mostly people buy from a salesperson that they like actually.
Mm,
It's a big thing, and it will be very correct to discourage somebody to buy something that they don't need. It will be correct. And it will be
mm,
just as correct to get somebody upsold on something that they really do need. So I
mm.
know you want a 3 bedroom, but what you're talking about here and what you're telling me, you need a 4 bedroom. We need to find you a 4 bedroom. 3 bedroom is going to be nice for a year, but it's just going to waste your money long term. You have to do the 4 bedroom. So if that's really what you need, then you need to also upsell them. Same at the same level. Help them.
Mm. I
Hmm.
started selling newspapers, and my first sales training sounded like this: here's your newspapers, there's the door, go make sales. And
Yeah.
I thought I was going to be rich. I thought it was going to be that easy. But there's a whole psychology behind it. There's the sales psychology of you as the individual, but there's also the buyer with their own psychology. And
Hmm.
I went out and I got my first rejection from literally the butcher next door. He's like, I don't have time to read. I'm too
Yeah.
busy selling meat. The fishmonger is like, I don't have time for that. I'm not interested. The guy at the Vietnamese bakery store is like, I don't even speak English. Like, I'm not going to buy a newspaper. And
Yeah.
so then I figured out you need some targeting. You got to go out and
Uh-huh.
speak to the right people, because you
Yeah.
could go out and you could spend all your time speaking to nice people, but they're the wrong people.
Hmm.
Now you got to get
100%.
your targeting dialed in. And today
Yeah.
in my business, I can speak to one person and make one sale. And I really like that. But in the
Yeah.
past, when I started, I have to speak to 100 people. I'd knock on the doors, ring on the
Yeah.
bells, and then I'd find one person who liked it. I'm like, that's a lot of wasted time. It's not
Hmm.
even profitable.
Yeah. For
But
sure. No, it's
over
not.
time, you dial in that targeting, and you figure out,
Yes.
okay, this is the real want, the real need. You
Yeah.
start to have a look in. I like to call it the psychographic. People don't buy my product because it's geographically located. Like your
Mm.
hotel, there's a geographical
Mm.
location. Mine is
Hmm.
global. Well, anybody
Hmm.
who can kind of get into this 12-hour time zone,
Yeah.
it's not a demographic and it's not an ethnographic. It's a psychographic. It's a certain time of their life where a particular fear or frustration kicks in, or they
Hmm.
might have a want and aspiration, and they only ever become a customer or potential prospect at that stage. So
Hmm.
my marketing machine has to keep educating them about this particular problem or goal. And when they
Yeah.
see it, they go, "Oh, this guy knows his shit. This guy knows
Yeah.
me better than me. I
Yeah.
better message him."
Yeah. Right.
And it's nice because
Exactly.
in today's market, a lot of marketers will tell us that we need at least 8 hours of educational content before somebody purchases our products. They want to do all the research. Like my wife,
Hmm.
before we went to Korea, looks at all the hotels, looks at all
Yeah.
the reviews, looks at all the packages, and she
Hmm.
wants to educate herself. So once she
Yes.
gets on the phone to somebody she's not being sold to, they're helping her make the buying decision.
Yes. Exactly. She's walking in. She's ready to buy. It's a
Ready.
little bit different. She's ready to buy. Yes.
Good thing about my wife, always ready to buy.
Yeah. hundred
Always ready.
percent. Yeah, 100%. You know the classic joke where the guy's lost his credit card, and the guy wasn't canceling it and not canceling it, not canceling. And the wife said, "Why aren't you canceling it?" And he said, "It's because he's spending less money than you, so it's okay." Yeah.
Now, everybody wants to make more money.
Yeah.
And it's really important because you can have spiritual health but no money, and that doesn't work. You can
Hmm.
have great income but have poor health. But we've got to get
Hmm.
that money sorted out. In
Yeah.
terms of building a profitable business, um, what do you recommend to people when they look at the profit margins in the business and start to ask the question, how do we make it profitable?
Yeah. You need to make sure that you don't spend money before you make it, before you have it, and you always make at least 1 cent more than you spend. So it sounds so simple. Of course, just don't spend money you don't have, but it's not that simple. And people spend money that they don't yet have, or they assume that they will have it. And so you need to be pedantic about I don't spend money that I don't have, and I make the money before I need to spend it. And if you're really, really pedantic about that, like I was, I heard the story recently about somebody who hired on a CEO, and the CEO took over from the owner and started to spend money for scaling and for all kinds of, and no, you need to make money before, make money, spend money to make money. And he left the guy in like, what was it? I think it was $700,000 of debt. The CEO just created a massive hole, not to mention lost income, because he had to spend money to make money. He violated what the owner was doing so strictly. But no, I haven't made the money yet. Like, we're not spending money we don't have. So you need to be very, very strict about that in your life, in your business. And of course, you need to do everything else that we spoke about here: surveying your clients, learning how to sell, qualifying, as you said. By the way, once you qualify your leads, you should be closing 80% of
Mm.
qualified leads. 80%. That's what my clients, that's the standard. 80% of qualified leads. Most people get the qualified leads and close 10, 20, 30. It's like placebo, basically. Placebo numbers. It's up in the air. There's not actually knowledge of how to close them. So, and of course, exchange correctly and constantly correct the value, of course. But that, being pedantic about the money spending and making it before you have to spend it, is key.
In our business, we look at how can we attract more leads. That's always the major focus. It's lead acquisition, and every year I set a goal. Last year it was to generate 1,000 leads, and I got 1,000 leads, and I realized that to actually hit the goal, I'd need 10,000. And then I said to
Mm-hmm.
one of my clients the other day, he said, "How did you go with your lead acquisition?" I said, "I set a goal for 10,000. Now I realize I need 100,000." And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of our time is always allocated to lead acquisition. It's just that constant prospecting. And I believe it's more important today than ever before because there's more competitors today than there was in the past. There's also fewer customers now than there was in the past. So you've got more sellers, less buyers. So you got to constantly be out there looking to find and replace customers. One of the biggest shocks here that we're starting to see in Taiwan is our death rate is higher than our birth rate.
Mm-hmm.
So as a country, our buyers are dying and our
Yeah.
future buyers aren't being born at all. And even hospitals here are closing down. Hospitals are closing down because there's no babies being born. Uh,
Wild.
Doctors in pediatrics no longer have jobs because there's no children being born. And then
Mm.
there's the flow on effect. The hospitals are shutting down, the schools are shutting down, the educational facilities are shutting down, and the universities are shutting down. And so I think with all businesses, we've got to constantly look at who's our customer today and who's our customer going to be 5 years from now. Because in these rapidly changing markets, we've also got to change that targeting strategy. And if doctors were our clients last week and they're losing our jobs, they're not going to be our prospects and our targets next week.
Mm.
But doesn't mean they can't buy this product, but we might be able to sell them a recruitment service or help you find a job type service
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
weeks to come.
I'm going to give you a massive secret for anybody listening. This is massive, massive, massively missed gold mine that every business sits on. What businesses should focus on is actually, yes, you can get new leads. Wonderful. That's not my dominant focus. 80% of your income should come from your existing clients. What you need to look at is every client that you currently have, how can you sell them more? That's the focus. If you try and put the same effort that you're putting on getting new leads into servicing existing clients to get them to buy more and finding out what do they need by a specific survey, of course, finding actually what do they need and what you can provide them. And there's always something you can provide them, no matter the industry. I haven't yet found an industry. And always people say, no, but I can't resell them. Every industry, you can provide them something. You take the existing clients that you spend so much time and effort and money in acquiring and who now trust you and who have worked with you, and you take those. that gold mine and tap into them and find out how can you sell them more, not new. That right there, endless income, endless, 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 endless from your existing clients.
There's two companies who do this very well. One that we know, one that we probably don't know. The first one is McDonald's.
Hmm.
They're going to give you clean toilets. They know you've got to park your car. They know you're going to need to go to the bathroom. They're going to give you that for free. They're going to sell you a burger, some fries, some chips, and a dessert. And they're going to give you a toy to keep your kid quiet because you've been on the road trip for 4 hours. They're
Uh-huh.
smart. There's another company that is an Australian company. It's called Rode, RODE. And like you and I both have professional microphones, they build microphones. When I bought my microphone, I then realized I needed a lead and I
Hmm.
didn't get a lead in the box. So I had to go and buy one. And then after I bought
Hmm.
the lead, I needed this other thing to plug it into to make it work. Then I
Hmm.
realized I had to have another extension. Then I realized I needed another lead to get it into the computer. Then I
Hmm.
realized that I'd have to have this other thing to connect it to my camera. And so then
Yeah.
I had like 7 different pieces of equipment from 7 different places, and I didn't even know I needed it at the start.
Yeah.
But then I started to have a look at this company called Rode Microphones. They sell you a
Mm.
microphone, they give you a lead, they give you an option of a desk stand or a boom arm, and it's just one thing that you plug into straight into your computer, and then you can connect your camera to it as well.
Hmm.
And this company exploded. They were doing good before the pandemic, but during the pandemic, they realized people had to work from home, and they realized
Hmm.
that people didn't know what they needed, so they gave
Yeah.
them this wonderful package. And now
Uh-huh.
it's a $1 billion business. They're selling
Yeah.
in South Africa, they're selling in America, they're selling here in Taiwan, and
Hmm.
they really listen to their customers. This
Hmm.
microphone here, uh,
Hmm.
like you're talking about microphones before, this one's 50 years old. It hasn't changed,
Hmm.
but buyers' tastes have changed. So, Rode microphone, they give you a black one. You can have a white one. You can have a pink one. You can have a yellow one. You can have a green one. You can have a blue one. And
Yeah.
people love it.
Yeah.
And now you can get all
Yeah.
these Rode microphones. And I saw you with your little handheld microphone. They even give
Uh-huh.
people that. Okay. This
Yeah.
is what people want instead of this big boom microphone. Have it.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. And they can still find ways to service their existing clients more. And if the more they work on giving more and more and more of what you need, the marketing cost on you is very low compared to
Mm,
getting new leads.
mm.
The
Well,
sale, the upsell, and that's really the focus. That should be the focus.
we talked about lead costs before, going back to 2013, 12 and 13 when I started my business. It was $1 a lead through Facebook.
Yeah.
Now,
Hmm.
that was beautiful. They were the golden days of leads.
Yeah.
But today, for a consultant, the average around the world at the moment, it takes about $2,500 of marketing efforts just to get an appointment in your diary.
Mm.
And that doesn't guarantee that they're going to show up.
Hmm.
So if you get one, you got to keep it. And you got to keep it
Yeah.
not just for today, but you got to keep your customers for life.
Yes. Yes. You need to, and you need to keep selling to them. And by the way, there's a lot of ways to massively reduce the cost of acquisition. Just people don't know how to market, how to actually say what's interesting to the client, how to find out. I'm talking about a massive decrease in marketing costs if you know how to market. If you don't know how to market, then it takes a lot of work to try to get one person because you're hoping, you're shooting in the dark.
You got to know how to do it. You've got
Yeah,
some live events coming up in
I do.
December. What's coming up and what can we learn?
Yeah, so on the 5th of December, actually, I'm doing a live seminar in Cape Town, and it will
Three
also be
days from
streamed
now.
online. So that's in 3 days. Yes, it might be a little bit too soon for some of the list, or to by the time you're listening to this, it might have already happened. But you can also get the recording. And basically, what I'm talking about there is how do you design your best year yet to have more happiness, more wealth, and more health. And you'll find that there's one thing that's missing. One major overarching thing that people don't do. And because of it, they miss opportunities, they get into wrong investments, they put time and effort on the wrong direction, and the wrong partner, on the wrong uh, activities, because they're missing something that's so obvious. But without it, they're actually pretty much operating blind. And I'm going to be explaining that. And on top of that, we're going to do all kinds of exercises on how to actually do New Year's resolutions correctly, differently, in a way that actually brings them about. And I'm going to be showing you how do you find the root for any problem you have. Any. If you come to me with any problem, come to that seminar with any problem, you'll find the root. And it's going to be amazing. So that's what I'm doing. It's like $26 for the online ticket. It's like one of the cheapest things I've ever done. I'm just doing it to give people tools for the end of the year. And that's what's coming up. But I've always got something happening. If people want to connect with me on social media, I do every once in a while, once a month or once every 2 months, free webinars on business, free webinars on marketing. I've done free webinars on ADHD. My claim is that you don't have ADHD. You have the symptoms of ADHD, but you don't have ADHD. You have something. It's one big subject that we probably can get controversial and have a whole other episode on. So I'm always doing something.
Well, I think that word blind spot is key, and we've all got to find our blind spots. Having a blind spot doesn't mean we're less than or a bad person. It just means there's something that we can't see.
Yeah.
I was in San Diego driving down the freeway, and I'm a great driver, but I've never driven on this side of the road before. And I turned, and all of a sudden, there's a motorbike in the lane, and he's bipping at me, and I swerve back, and I go, and there's a U-Haul in the other one. And I realized
Yeah.
that I had some blind spots, and then I realized that, hey, I've probably got some blind spots in my business, and I don't want to
Hmm.
repeat those mistakes anymore. And
Yeah.
if you're in the area or if you're online, definitely get onto one of Gal's trainings
Yeah.
and figure out what your blind spots are, because
Absolutely.
hidden in those blind spots are often your greatest opportunities. And what a great way to start the year. If you end
Absolutely.
strong,
Thank you.
you'll start strong. Gal,
Yeah.
thanks for joining us. Where can
Thank
our
you.
followers find you?
So you can find me on all social media. It's Gal A Ezra, GALAEZRA or ZRA. And if you're interested in anything, just DM me. And other than that, you can go to our website. It's gprosperity.com. G stands for guaranteed. Everything we do is guaranteed. So gprosperity.com, and we'll be happy to show you some things that you will be blown away by.
Gal, thanks for your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for